Morning everybody, how you doing? An absolutely beautiful morning here in the system. This week we're really gonna have to do a bit of management. We had a bit of a wild boar issue coming in last week, so we've been a bit busy trying to build an electric fence to stop it from coming here. But today we really have to get on top of our flowering situation here, where it has moved from a flowering situation into a seeding situation, and we can see that things are just now not really conforming to how we would like it to be. Thank God we had a little bit of rain. We had about 80 mil, so quite a lot of rain in 3 days about a week ago. That's when the wild boar came in. So yeah, so very happy how things are going here. Some areas are better than others for whatever reason. It's always the case. Here, for example, we had a big gap of, there is no pigeon peas whatsoever. So I'm not sure if that's the work of the leaf cutter ant of what's going on. But the idea today is to do, first and foremost, to remove all of the Crotalaria, which is this one, Crotalaria spectabilis, and because it's an annual plant, we're going to be coming right down here, and we're going to be removing the plant all the way from the bottom. Also making way to some of the other babies coming through. I think there might be a papaya or something there, and managing the jack bean here too, who are flowering. It's been taking a little while. I thought we'll be making some pods already, so I'm going to be pruning them too. I would like to also do a bit of pruning perhaps onto the Mexican sunflowers, especially those ones that are really pushing out, and the ones that are interacting with our veggie beds that we are putting here in the middle, just to open things up a bit. But first and foremost, I want to remove all of the Crotalarias, and then I'll see how gappy, because they play a big role. They play a big part in our systems, and once we're gonna remove them, I just don't know how it's gonna look. We had a little bit of, not quite a frosty time yet, but it got down to maybe 6 or 7 degrees down here. So it's been a warm winter. I've been talking to some of the locals, and they've been saying that it's been really warm. So it's unlikely, that we're gonna be getting some frost, but it's still, I don't want to play too hard. I might also just lift a little bit of those castor royals here, and maybe just tip a little bit on the pigeon peas. They are coming into flower again, so everything is coming into flower at the moment, which is not a bad thing. We just got to make sure that when things are growing, things are growing. When things wants to grow, things can grow, but at the moment not much is wanting to grow. So let's get onto it. Let's make a nice prune. We're gonna still have lots of little yellow flowers. That's mainly because of the Mexican sunflowers, and they, as you can see here, they flower in stages. So we've got flowers here that are completely spent already. Flowers, yeah, completely spent there. Flowers that are pretty much brand new there, just came up probably a day or two ago, and then flowers that are just about to open up, and lots of little buttons. So that plant is probably gonna flower for a month or two. We'll see. So we'll keep monitoring it and see how we go. Yeah, that will probably take us a few hours to do the whole system, 450 meters worth of lines, but I reckon we'll be fine. A couple of hours a day, probably 3 or 4 days maybe, I don't know, we'll see. The important thing is always to do well, to have some good quality on our work. It's beautiful to see. We've been having lots of wind, but it's beautiful to see that most of the bananas are nicely protected as well, so not too much damage on their leaves. They are super protected, and with that kind of Crotalaria, which is a different one, I actually would like the seeds of them, so I will let them form pods. But the spectabilis, which is this one, it's an annual, and I have no interest on the seeds at this stage. All right, let's get moving. Very important to keep that management on time. We are a little bit late, but as they say, better late than later. Here we go. All right, so there we have it. I managed these 2 rows. Took me about quite a bit, probably an hour and a half or maybe even 2 hours. They still look quite full, but definitely not as full as they used to be. As you can see here, now we have much more gaps. The light can shine through it quite nicely. Bananas are still nice and protected, which is very important, so I didn't open up that castor oil much. I want to keep it protected even though the frost doesn't seem to be coming. Left some of the Mexican sunflowers a little bit more open, especially in places like here where there was a lot of Crotalaria. Now we're kind of a little bit naked there. So I left some of that to be. Whereas in other places like here, I did top it up just to stimulate it a bit. It's not really growing season for them, but that's how things are going. So it's a slow process. It's worthwhile going slow. Also, as I was in there, I was trying to get, not being crazy, but trying to get some of those grasses as well that are growing. Some of the little bits that were here, removing some of those guys. Not going crazy again, otherwise it will take 10 hours to do one bed. But just every time we show up, we take a few of those out. Then slowly the beds become free of them, and just with the plant we've got. Pigeon peas are absolutely pumping. They are all going into flower, and there's a whole range of biology coming and making the most of it. I'm gonna let them be. We're gonna let them flower, because even if I prune them now, they will go back into flower. One of the things that we can look as well is see how the leaves were a bit moldy. That's some of the drummers we've got here, so that's why we gotta be on top of things, otherwise the airflow just doesn't flow, and things do get a little bit moldy. So different climates will have different approaches and different management, but that's what we want to have. You know, we want to have a very high pruning, but still, you know, like here, look how much organic matter we've got out of there, but still the bed is fully protected. It's fully growing. Now the next stage of succession there, to move it forward. So plenty of work to do still. So it was 2 lines in 2 hours, so that might mean not all lines are the same length, but that means, you know, a fair bit of work, and that's the cost. You know, the cost of not having external inputs is to give everything we've got all the time we've got, and keep things into balance. That's the other side there. And it's nice to come and see as well and find some of our plants, see if they're doing well. So a bit stagnant now, but it's okay, doing well. But some of the plants, and I'll see if I can find it, it's just a little uvea here. It's also a little bit moldy. So it was, you know, really good to come and do that management. See if we can show you here how it is now there. See there, plenty of mold. So I'm hoping that opening up will make things nicer for it as well. So I'll keep an eye on it. We can see how much organic matter on the other side was dropped. But that's the game. Keep on top of things, keep it managing, keep it alive.